Hey, BC here for BC Nephro. Today I'm going to talk about some unusual causes of hyponatremia and some of the experiences that I've come across in this diagnosis. Make sure to check out my other video on hyponatremia on this channel, and make sure to check out bcnephro.com to learn more information. Questions or comments, put them below or email me at brian@bcnephro.com. So the unusual causes of hyponatremia that I'm going to talk about today are actually from pituitary insufficiency. So pituitary dysfunction causing secondary adrenal insufficiency, causing hyponatremia. So we're aware of adrenal insufficiency as a cause of hyponatremia. This is secondary adrenal insufficiency on the basis of pituitary. So it turns out that this can mimic SIADH, and here are two cases here. The first was a woman who was hospitalized with recurrent hyponatremia. Now, initially, several months earlier, she had been on hydrochlorothiazide. This was the attributed cause. This was discontinued. Her sodium got better during the hospitalization, discharged home, came back again off hydrochlorothiazide with hyponatremia again. This time it attributed to SIADH. So it turns out in a postmenopausal woman, the best test to assess pituitary function is an FSH, follicular stimulating hormone. In a post-menopausal woman, this FSH level should be very elevated. So as part of my routine evaluation for the consult for hyponatremia, I checked an FSH level, and this level turned out to be relatively low. Certainly not in the postmenopausal range. So this woman was in a perimenopausal range. So I wasn't quite sure how to interpret it. So I went back to her and asked her if she still has her periods. So she told me she hadn't had a period for 20 years since she had gotten in a car accident and had head trauma. So it turns out she had this car accident head trauma, and she initially was treated with a nasal spray. So she initially was actually treated with DDAVP. So initially, post trauma, it turns out that she had diabetes insipidus, which was treated with DDAVP. Subsequent to that, she told me after some time, her neurosurgeon or whoever was following her told her she didn't need the DDAVP anymore. So it turns out, but what wasn't realized, it turns out, is this initial diabetes insipidus evolved into pituitary insufficiency, secondary adrenal insufficiency. Now, of course, I could have taken a proper history to begin with and maybe had this in my differential, but I backed into that one because the FSH level wasn't elevated. Turns out that she does have secondary adrenal insufficiency, has been on maintenance dose hydrocortisone for years, follows the endocrine, and is doing great. So that's one unusual cause of backing into a pituitary cause of hyponatremia. Now, the second was a relatively young woman from Brazil who had immigrated to the U.S., and she was in the ICU with very, very severe hyponatremia. So as part of my workup, I did check an FSH level on her. Now, I can't remember her age, if it was appropriate for her to be postmenopausal or not. But in any event, the FSH was not significantly elevated. So we got the Portuguese translator on the line and started talking. And it turned out that she never was right after she gave birth to her child in Brazil. So she ended up she lived in a rural area of Brazil, had a child, and she wasn't right after that. Turns out that she had some bleeding during this, and she ended up having Sheehan syndrome. So you read about Sheehan syndromes in the books. This case I actually saw. So she had Sheehan syndrome with pituitary insufficiency, secondary hypothyroidism as well. Was treated with hormone replacement therapy. And the translator said a couple days or after this is that none of the doctors, she had been not right after her childbirth. None of the doctors could figure out what was going on when she was trying to see physicians in Brazil. And it turns out that she felt great, of course, with the hormonal replacement That's that. So 2 cases of kind of backing into um, um, pituitary diseases that cause it, because I typically check an FSH, follicular stimulating hormone. Of course, the proper way to do it is probably to take a proper history and physical complete and get that. But if you don't think about pituitary causes of adrenal insufficiency, you're not going to diagnose it. And so those are some stories for today. Keep this in your differential. For more, again, check out bcnephro.com. Until next time.